Hey, this is Tuhon Aditya from LightHaven. Today we're going to be looking at a single stick or a single sword combination. Don't worry, I'm going to keep the voice short, but it's important to understand the relevance of a drill or a combination like this. So firstly, it teaches us how to go from one strike to the next strike to the next strike without break, and how to do it fluidly and without losing power. It also helps us to explore new patterns of striking that help us to break out of bad habits or old habits or patterns that we rely too much on in fighting or in sparring. This is a combination that's going to teach us how to go from our diagonal line slashes to our essential three major thrusts to Witiks to these twirls or these Floretes, and all combining them into one coherent pattern. We're going to start with our weapon leg, weapon hand in front. So my right hand, right leg in front, and my right hand, my weapon chambered on my shoulder. From here, I'm going to first do an inside florete to an angle 1 to a Witik. So one more time, inside florete to angle 1 to Witik. Inside florete to angle 1 to Witik. From here, as this Witik retracts, comes back, I'm going to come up into this angle 4 reverse diagonal. So florete, angle 1, Witik, angle 4, going from 7 o'clock to 1 o'clock on the clock face. From here, I'm loaded up for that high thrust, and now I'm going to come right down the same clock face that I just went up. So I'm going to thrust from 1 o'clock all the way down to 7 o'clock. Let's look at this one more time. Florete to angle 1 to Witik to angle 4 to that high thrust. Now you have an option. Either you can use your live hand to flip your weapon over so that it's facing my opponent again, or from here itself I can do it without the live hand. From here I'm going to go reverse thrust and slash down to my hip. And to finish it off, I'm going to have a low forehand thrust and an angle 2 that brings me back to my shoulder. Let's look at the whole thing one more time. Florete to angle 1, Witik to angle 4, high thrust, reverse thrust to slash, low thrust, angle 2 that brings me back to my shoulder. The first thing to be aware of is what I'm doing with the edge of my blade when I do this florete type of motion. You have two options. The first is, so if these knuckles are where my edge is, the first option is that I go flat of the blade to deflect someone's weapon and then cut with my edge. The second option is that I cut with the edge once, cut with the edge twice. So it's important to know which one of these two options that you're doing. The next thing to watch out for is once we have done our Witik, as we're coming up on that angle 4, again it's about knowing where your edge is. So I don't want to come up slapping as I come up. I want to have my edge in the correct alignment to cut as I come up. It should go without saying that in all of the thrusts that your weapons are in the correct alignment. So if I'm doing this number 9, this high thrust, then I want to remember that I am thrusting and I'm not slashing. So as I'm thrusting, my weapon can't be in this weird position. The tip has to be leading the way. Same with the reverse thrust, same with the low thrust. On the topic of thrusts, on this reverse thrust, it's important to know when I switch from thrust to slash. The way that I see it, the way that I look at it, is that I want to thrust to center line and then change it into a slash. I don't want to go too far past center line. I want to thrust to center line. It's up to you whether you want to go a slightly lower target, slightly higher target, and then turn it into a slash. The next thing I want to watch out for is that I make sure that every strike leads into the next strike. This combination or this drill is designed so that you never lose momentum. So when I'm going from the florete, the follow through of that angle 1 is what leads into that Witik. The retraction of the Witik is what leads into that angle 4, which is already set up that high thrust, thrust and slash. From here, that's already set up that low thrust, which is already set up the angle 2, which again is going to lead back to my setup on my shoulder load to begin that florete angle 1 again. So this entire drill, you're never stopping. You want to make sure that you are going smoothly from the beginning to the end without losing momentum, without losing power. Lastly, you must be aware of what your live hand is doing. Now, if I'm going Florete, Witik, angle 4, that high thrust, from here if my hand can first be flipping that weapon over, thrust slash. Here every time I'm loading onto my forehand side, there's an empty beat in which I can insert that hack or that hand or that punch or whatever you want to do with it. Thrust slash hack, and then you can begin again. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to the video. Please share this with anyone you think might find it useful. If you have anything to add, leave that in the comments down below. Any questions or requests for future videos, please also leave that in the comments down below. All of these things really do help out the school and the channel a lot. A huge thank you to all of our patrons. Thank you so much for your support. If you would like to know more about our Patreon page, check out the link I'm going to leave in the description down below. Lastly, our online classes are up and running. Our residential program is up and running. So to train with us, check out the email address I'm going to leave in the link down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and see you in the next video.